Good evening and welcome to Seckman High School in Imperial, Missouri, home to the Seckman Jaguars. Our matchup today is between the Seckman Jaguars and the Oakville Tigers. Ray Halbrook along with Brian Garner and Scott Lotta. Gentlemen, we're here for a big matchup here, conference matchup, some district play implications as well.
Seckman has completely turned their program around from years ago. You can't take them lightly anymore.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you'll be looking at the play from Cole Rubel from Seckman, Ethan Venable from Oakville.
Coach, give us a little insight into tonight's matchup with Seckman Jaguars.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be a tough game. Two power-running football teams. It's going to be who makes the least amount of mistakes and who can control the other running game.
You know, they're a 4-3 team. You know, we both have the same record in conference. This game's for the conference championship. Big night for both teams.
Cuts it up the middle. Oh, he's going to take it all the way. He just broke containment. 40, 30, 20, 10, 5. Touchdown, Jaguars.
The man can run. He can throw. Holy cow. Start from the 1 yard line.
And pushed right up the middle. And the signal is touchdown.
Cole Rubel off tackle to the right side.
Running off the left side, cuts it up. And in for the touchdown. 5-yard touchdown, number 15.
To the right for Oakville.
Low snap. And Bradley has got a receiver who's wide open. 40, 50. 40. He's got one man to beat. Oh, he cuts back in. Josiah and touchdown. Number 14. Wow.
Damian Moore.
That is 78 yards on the pass play right there. Holy cow. Taken at the 15. Across the 20, 25, 30. Picks up speed. He's got one man to beat. And he's got the angle down the sideline. 30, 20. 10, 5, pay dirt. Wow.
Drew Lanzarini.
What was that, an 85-yard kick return for a touchdown? Coming game here. Running off the left, cuts it up the middle.
Touchdown.
No signal yet. And now they do. That is a touchdown. Was that the 4th touchdown?
Cole Rubel.
3:53 on the clock. Gibber, first down and more.
Got the
20,
edge.
10, touchdown. It's like a 38-yard scamper for the Gibber to the turf, and that's your ball game. Seckman 35, Oakville 14.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Upon Further Review. Ray Halbrook here, your host. I'm going to bring in Matt Bates in the middle there and Jeff Whitener all the way to the right. Gentlemen, it is week 8 and we're going to talk a little bit about the results here and hopefully everybody's having a good day. I know, Matt, you're having a good day there wearing the Tennessee shirt there, and we'll leave all of the Alabama folks out on this particular one, but go Tennessee, right?
You got it. Yeah, I'm just happy to be here, be part of the team. We're taking it day by day, and
typical Nick Saban.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Yeah,
is that
right.
Love it.
Nope, all
it.
good. I mean, we got a little bit of everything. I mean, you got games on Thursday, you got your Friday games, you got games on Saturday. People winning conferences. I mean, all the runs of the game. You got blowouts. You got forfeits. You got nail-biters. So, yeah, I mean, talk about a week that was. I mean, this was interesting and then some.
Let's get to it here. Here are the Week 8 results. And we're going to start with the big one here. Seckman 35, Oakville 14. And that was our live stream STL Friday Night Blitz game of the week, and man, I'll tell you what, to see Cole Ruble up close and personal, man, he's the real deal.
At one point, I mean, 39 carries, 300 yards, 4 TDs. I mean, and it goes on and on. I mean, on the year, 1,758 yards. I mean, I would say, and from what I was able to see of the film of the game, I mean, he's in that handful of backs, your Rubles, your Emmanuels, that you could draw up a game plan to focus on him. You could even put 2 people on him, and it doesn't seem like you're able to contain the guy.
Right.
Same way with Emmanuel. Your game plan, and you don't want to make, again, the team about like one guy. But I'm just telling you, when you look at those 3 running backs, you like I said, you could game plan, you could scheme all day, and it seems like they're still going to find a way to get you out here. And after that return kickoff in the third quarter by Oakville, I mean, this was a 21-14 game. I mean, right before half, it was like 21-0, and Seckman was just getting ready to put the foot on the throat, but Oakville made this. They made it tense. So that's what I'm saying. Like this thing turned into a nail biter before it got away. Before it turned into the continued Cole Ruble show. Jeff.
Yeah.
Matt, we've talked about Ruble, and we sort of ad nauseum, and I hope people aren't sick of hearing about it, because this young man, it really is worthy of our time and attention. And watching the game, going back and watching it, yes, he's fast, yes, he's athletic, but to me, the most important thing, and he's got a very good offensive line, his vision on the field is just off the charts. His football IQ and the way he is able to see the blocks happening in front of him and get ready where he's going to make that cut. I haven't seen a player with that kind of vision since Andrew Graves down at R7 just a few years back. Very fun to watch. And of course, Seckman wraps up, for all intents and purposes, the Suburban Orange Conference. They have Webster this week, and they should be able to beat Webster without any problem or not. But just amazing to watch.
And it was funny you were talking about the vision and his ability, and the two names that came to my mind while I was watching that game were Marshall Faulk and Gale Sayers.
Marshall Faulk was the one that came to my mind as well.
Sayers did have like 2 or 3, halfback option passes to his credit, but looking at like Marshall Faulk, who even Martz back in the day said, if Warner came down, because he knew the offensive scheme so well, that, if Warner got hurt or if the quarterback got hurt, we would have no problem having Marshall dictate the offense, and having Ruble back there already, in the quarterback spot, kind of solidifies that too. But like the field of vision, the ability to, to read, like almost predetermine where the cuts, the blocks need to be made. Yeah, that IQ went to like I said, the 2 people that first came to my mind were Gale Sayers and Marshall Faulk.
He's so good at coming up to the line of scrimmage and hiding behind that line, and then all of a sudden you'll see him bounce out or spin out, and he's gone. And the defensive linemen and linebackers have no idea where he's at, and he gains 3 or 4 steps on anybody before they can go after him. It's amazing to watch.
Yeah, and those 3 or 4 steps right off the bat, he's already in the secondary, and
exactly,
and you're already behind the 8 ball. Then, yeah, unbelievable.
Marshall Faulk in quarterback form. How about that? That's a very interesting analogy. I like it. Hey, we're catching up here again with Coach Mike Genge from the Oakville Tigers. How you doing, Coach?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Awesome. Well, not a what you probably were looking for Friday night, but a few positives here and there, kind of going through the rushing right now here. Venable, 8 rushes, 41 yards, but that's not a normal Ethan Venable night. But recap a little bit of Friday night.
We knew it was going to be a tough game. We knew that the atmosphere was going to be big, and we knew we couldn't make mistakes. We knew that, going in, we needed to score some points. We needed to minimize how many times we let Rubel get loose. I felt like our game plan was good. We talked all week about winning the special teams battle, the field position battle. And it kind of felt like we did one of three things. We really didn't let Rubel get loose too often times, but we had some breakdowns on special teams with the 2 block punts. We struggled to get those short third down conversions, which we had a couple of that were pretty critical and not getting, and then getting stuffed inside the 10-yard line once was tough. So, when you do all those things on the road against a good opponent, it's tough to come out on top. But we are still learning. It's a learning experience. We're going to challenge our kids this week. Some of our kids are going to be challenged. I don't want to say for their spots, but I feel like we got a little complacent in some things. So we're gonna try to light the fire under some people's rears and hopefully come back this week stronger than ever.
There you go. There you go. We'll talk a little bit about the culture that you're trying to place here for Oakville Tiger football. Let me get this right. Second or third year at Oakville?
Third full year.
Okay.
I came in on COVID, so I guess it's
Right.
2.5.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk talk a little bit about talk a little bit about that the culture that you're trying to put together here.
Right. The biggest thing for us is we're trying to make our kids accountable. We're trying to put them in a position where they have to be accountable to what, each other, to the program, to, just themselves, their family, being willing to accept blame, but also accept responsibility, knowing that football is not a August to November sport. It's really a November to August sport. Right. And getting them to believe that it's not about I say it all the time, it's not about the me, it's the we. Right. It's great if we have one individual that has good stats. Great. If we're getting our butts kicked by 50, that doesn't matter. What we have to do is we have to develop a culture where, if this is the week where we need a kid to step out because he doesn't fit the scheme of what we need, he doesn't get mad. He just cheers on his teammates and we go after the W. And so that's been an evolving thing. I've had the conversation with multiple kids about the word start, the idea of starting. And I'm like, okay, so you don't start, but how many plays did you play? Well, I played 30 or 40 plays. Okay, well, you helped us win. We got to get out of that, right. and our culture too is not just a fact of football. It's being a good citizen, being that active Oakville football player in class, in the community with your family. One thing I stress to our kids is when you play for us, you are not just you anymore. You are the Oakville football player. And that is a powerful thing that carries a lot of weight. And so, our kids are starting to get it. And it's going all the way down. It's going all the way down to our fifth grade level. My son plays fifth grade for us. We preach the same things to them that we preach to our high school kids. And I know our sixth grade coaches say the same thing, our seventh grade coaches, our eighth grade coaches. So that's probably been the biggest thing about it, is culture over everything.
Awesome. I love the concept. Love it. You have Parkway South coming into town and going to be another tough game there. But give us maybe a little insight what you got going on with Parkway South this week.
Yeah, Parkway South, we've been 1-1 with them the last 2 years. They're big up front. They got a pretty good little running back. And defensively, they're tough. Their D-line's tough. For us, again, it's not always about who we're playing. It's about playing ourselves and doing what we need to do. We feel like if we go out and execute, we play ourselves, we are able to make minimize our mistakes. We can play with anybody. It's the games that we get like Friday night, where we have 2 breakdowns on special teams. We don't convert a couple third downs that we should have converted. We drop a couple passes. Not being able to get Seckman off the field. Those are things that you have to do to be successful and win high school football. And we're getting better at it. I feel like going into this week and then into districts, our schedule is going to be a huge benefit to us because we have been in a dogfight a lot. And nothing about district and playoff football is easy. And so I keep stressing that to our kids, like, these are learning experiences. These are going to make us better for the long haul.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate it again, catching up with us, and good luck to you going into districts.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
As Coach Mike Genge from the Oakville Tigers. Hey, we're catching up here with Coach Nick Baer from the Seckman Jaguars. How's it going tonight, Coach?
Good.
Awesome. Well, we'll recap a little bit of the 35-14 win over Oakville here. Your big guy there, Cole Rubel, 39 rushes, 300 yards. And, Tommy Gabar, 12 rushes, 72 yards. Eli Wingermilly, 5 rushes, 21 yards. I'll tell you what, very efficient game, both on the offensive and defensive side. Take us through the game and let us know what you think was the key to the win.
Yeah, it was we knew Oakville was going to be a good football team, and we knew that they were going to throw, everything they had at us. 0-0 coming out of the first quarter. First time all year we hadn't scored in the first quarter. So, we looked at our guys. Our guys never flinched. We kind of just kept grinding and kept doing what we were doing. Offensively, and Cole, popped a big one for 80, and that kind of got things going. And then, it's 21-0 after a couple good drives, and Oakville scored one right at the end of the half, made it 21-7, came right out at the end of half and had a kick return, 21-14. And, a lot of times very easy for things to keep kind of getting worse from there. But I was really happy with how we responded. Offense, I believe, right after that had a 12-play, 80-yard drive methodically down the field. So, I just feel like we responded really well in some pressure situations Friday.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the last few years here, the culture that's being built here at Seckman. Seckman's not always been known as a football, school, until the last few years. How has that culture been built?
Yeah, historically, we haven't really been known as a football powerhouse. We had one winning season in 2018. That was our first winning season. This is my 4th year as head coach, so since 2019, and now we've been able to secure 3 in a row. It's had a lot to do with the boys. They've been working really hard. A lot of it in the weight room. They all had them all for class in the weight room, and you can see a lot of that on the field. We have a very good and solid Little League program right now. I believe we have like 180 kids, 3rd grade through 8th grade.
Awesome.
So, by the time I'm getting these freshman classes of, 40, 50 players, there's plenty of kids that want to play football. So, even this year we have 31 seniors. So, if you can keep 31 kids committed for 4 years and in the weight room, you're going to find some good football players.
Absolutely. Building the culture there. Love that. You have Webster Groves this week. What do we have in store for the Webster Groves game?
Yeah, we won a share of the conference title last week, and this week against Webster, we have an opportunity to win it outright. It's senior night for our seniors. I just said we had 31 seniors. This is the first group of seniors to have the same head coach. I believe it's only the 2nd or 3rd group of seniors to have the same head coach since they were a freshman. And it's the first one since 2011. So for me, it's a very special group. It's going to be weird not having those guys out on the field next year. But, we're looking forward to kind of having, a final ride, on senior night against Webster this week. And, like you said, do kind of the brand that we've developed the last 4 years, pound the rock and play solid defense.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we appreciate the time catching up with you again, and good luck to you the rest of the way.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having us on.
That is Coach Nick Baer from the Seckman Jaguars. All right, moving on. Let's move on here. Parkway South at Fox. Anything we want to say about that game?
Fox just it's just been a season I think that Coach Tinker would like to just take and kind of, get out of this and move on with life. I would think. Like it's just been tough sledding.
Okay.
They graduated some very good players last year. They're in the rebuild mode right now, but if anybody can rebuild quickly, I have faith in Coach Tinker to do so.
Absolutely. St. Genevieve 41, Jefferson 34. Matt, Jeff, you were at that particular game, so I'll refer to you for that particular game.
Well, I will tell you it was a highly entertaining game. The Jefferson puts up 397 total yards against a much larger physical St. Gen team. They're probably the best game Jefferson's played all season, in my opinion. Outstanding play from their offensive line in that game. And it just came down at the end. It was St. Gen running the spread offense, has enough big, tall receivers that are fast, and there's just too many guys to cover. They were running 4 or 5 receivers every single play. And what happens, you get into a situation, especially at a smaller school, where your inside linebackers are forced to cover one-on-one coverage with a receiver, and that's very difficult to do. And St. Gen just got the better of them at the end of the day, but outstanding game, like I said, from the offense, also from the linebacking core. Sean Ussery, 10 solo tackles. Sam Stokes, 11 solo tackles. So good things for Jefferson. And I tell you what, guys, if they play like they did last week, they've got a shot to beat St. Vincent.
It's funny you mentioned those two names there, Ussery and Sam Stokes, because on the other side of the ball, I mean, Ussery had 8 carries, 97 yards, and Stokes, one of the first times we've really mentioned his name is from, at least from the offensive side, 7 carries, 78 yards. Ussery only needs like 106 yards to get to 1,000 on the year. And as I'd mentioned, last week, in that group of those backs, like your Usseries, Maloney's, Eli Tebow's that kind of fly under the radar, I think, if he can get 106 in this last game, I think, getting him to 1,000 yards would be a nice tip of the cap to Mr. Ussery.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Moving on here. St. Vincent 49 and Grandview 6. Anybody want to elaborate on that game? Kind of a blowout.
I was just going to say, St. Vincent takes the I-55 conference crown with that game. So even if they lose to Jefferson in this last week and a St. Pius win, they still win the head-to-head battle against St. Pius to take the conference crown, Matt.
Yeah. Grandview, I mean, God love them. I mean, they started off the season 2-0, and the season just, level of talent, also level of competition, and it just, has slipped away from them going to 2-6 now. But, some bright spots, Austin Blankenship, 6 carries, 51 yards, Nash Moore, 25 carries, 90 yards. I mean, 203 yards rushing against that St. Vincent team. I mean, they, again, on paper looks like a blowout, but Grandview, they padded up and they stepped up as best as they could. And they got Chaffee next week, who's 2-6, so there's a chance that they can at least make this a 3-6 year.
Absolutely. Webster Groves in Northwest 21-13. Northwest woes continue, unfortunately, there for Northwest, and they just struggled all season, I mean, it's just there's no, I don't know if there's a rhyme or reason for that, but Jeff, do you know if they've been down this season, or from past seasons, or what's going on with that?
Well, they sort of had a coaching carousel over there, the last 5 to 6 years over at Northwest, and that makes it really tough to bring in systems and for players to get acclimated to that. They did graduate some key players last year as well. But, hey, how about Webster Groves, my wife's alma mater? That's their first win in 21 games.
Wow.
for the
Okay.
Statesmen. So
Way to
yeah,
go,
they
Statesman.
get off they get off the schneid there against Northwest. So kudos to them.
Well,
Perryville.
it's a tune-up game for the Kirkwood Thanksgiving game.
Yeah.
That's right.
I like it. I like it. Moving on here, Perryville 22, Herculaneum 20. That was a heartbreaker, but sounded to me like the Black Cats kind of got off on the wrong foot, got behind. They were behind 20-6 at one time, and mounted the comeback, and unfortunately, just could not capitalize late to take the lead.
Well, I mean, the only way I guess you could start this off is that Lucas Baer was held to less than 100 yards receiving, so that usually equates to a loss. At least, the last two times he's been held under 100, they've lost those. But I mean, 9 rushes, 80 yards, 98, through the air. Somehow, again, he's still the number one receiver in the area with total yards, and this is 3 games where he was held up to less than 100. Deering 25 for 31. So I mean, this was a night where he was chucking it 250 yards, but 2 interceptions to show for it. So the thing that jumped out on me, was some of the notes I'd seen early was Perryville getting out to that basically 22 to nothing lead. But seeing some of the numbers afterwards, Mike Maloney, 24 carries, only 85 yards. And when you look around the county, again, he's in that group that I call those under-the-radar backs. You go to any of these other kids that we talk about, like, Job Smith, Rubel. I mean, you give those guys 24 carries on a night, they're racking up 180, 300 yards a shot. Maloney earning his paycheck, 24 carries and only 85 yards to show for it. I mean, that was – and a guy that turns around and he's just a human hammer on the other side on defense as well. So, I mean, this is just one of these games where it just seems like they were just trying to pound away and just no fruits to the labor to show for it.
I'm telling you right now, guys, in a bit of foreshadowing here, having seen Perryville play several times this year, and although the record doesn't indicate it, they're a Class 4 school playing in this I-55 conference now. They have the largest offensive and defensive line in the entire I-55 conference. And I knew that Perryville, Maloney, those guys wouldn't match up well up front against Perryville. Perryville is a team to watch for the future. Mark my words today. Write it down.
All right, book it, Dano.
Book it, Dano. Like it. Does that mean if they become a powerhouse, do they move back up to the large school group? I would think so.
Well, we'll have to see how many, how long it's going to take them to do that, and if they, they've got a player talent drain there, like St. Genevieve does with Valley, where they've got a lot of players that go over to St. Vincent. So only time will tell. But put it this way, they're going to be trouble. They're going to be trouble moving forward.
All right, moving forward. Cape Central 56, DeSoto 7. The DeSoto woes, so you're still got that green running back there. But I tell you what, I guarantee you this: next year you're going to see him either in the middle of the pack or the upper echelon pack of running backs.
Well, because remember in week 1, when we did the Bishop DeBerg game, Robbie Smith got his knee blown out, and then it fell on Eli Tebow and the name of the other running back that had like 45 yards that game as well too. He hasn't really seen a carry since. But freshman, sophomore running backs in a program where normally you would have at least maybe a junior, senior running back to help offset the load. But you were starting the season, your 3 running backs were like freshman, sophomore.
Right.
And that's, I don't care what program you're at, whether you're Class 6, whether you're Class 1, you got to have at least a little veteran depth to help offset that. I would say, and Tebow was out again for the second week with an injury, and I would say, and as much as I'd want to be back in that, for this game against Orchard Farm where you're going to have, 2 1-7 teams going at it, you always want to finish the year on a good note. But I would say, have Eli sit another week. Let him. Kid's going to be a sophomore next year. Let him rest up because the pounding's going to be coming again. Like the next 3 years after this. So, they showed up, did the best they could against a tough Cape team, and I'd say go to 2-7 and take care of business up at Orchard Farm.
There you go. Nothing out of Jeff. Jeff just shakes his head.
Agree 100%, Matt. They've got so many young players at skill positions this year. Essentially, brand new backfield. Quarterback with just a little experience. The plus the strength of the team was supposed to be their offensive and defensive line this year, but it's just been tough sledding. And like you said, you take your lumps and you look at to next week and you try to win on and end on a positive note against Orchard Farm.
There you go. Festus 41, Farmington 20. I was a little surprised at this score, but big win for Festus.
Yeah, Festus, now going to 4-4. They're going to finish the year down at Jackson. Faced a tough Farmington team. I mean, they had 5 backs that totaled 49 rushes, 267 yards. Again, nice to see how that depth is being spread around as opposed to having one running back with 49 rushes. They were able to spread it around a little bit, but let's not digress too far away because we don't want to take away from the performances that Maya Cunningham had, Branch, Landon Yates. There's a whole collective group that we're gonna have Jeff talk about. But it was, to me, it seemed like a nice coming out party for like those 3 young men. And Jeff, if you want to add to that, because there was a lot of love being thrown around.
Well, yeah, being able to spread the ball around against Farmington. But here, the key thing was the offensive line for Festus giving Cunningham time to throw the ball and move around. That was the key to the victory in this game, in my opinion. Cunningham getting a little revenge over his old school that he transferred from in Farmington. Armad Branch, 4 touchdowns in the game, and 2 of those touchdowns, if you go back and watch his huddle highlights, were really highlight reel worthy. Just very, very, and we know what a great athlete Armad Branch is. We've seen him in basketball and football the last 3-4 years. 4 touchdowns for, I think, 56 yards total on the touchdowns, but over 150 yards receiving. And yeah, the key to me was the line giving Cunningham enough time to move that ball around, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, because when you see, Armad Branch, having over, 100 plus yards, and you had Landon Yates, 6 receptions, 158. Yeah, I mean, you definitely you've got to rely on your line, and it was nice to see them stepping up when they needed to, because I don't think falling to 3-5. I mean, you're at least now at a point where you can work on now getting your head above water and at least to finish out the season on at least a winning note. But I mean, it's going to be tough sledding against a tough Jackson team, but at least they're in the spot to at least put themselves in a chance to have a winning season.
It's time for our Player of the Week, and our Player of the Week this week is Armad Branch from the Festus Tigers. Armad, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Awesome. Well, you had a big game Friday night against Farmington. 4 catches, 59 yards, 2 touchdowns. You and your battery mate there, Jeremiah Cunningham, get hooked up for a few catches there, and he had a pretty good game as well. Take us through the game a little bit and talk to us about the key plays in the win.
We came in, we knew it was going to be a hard fight. Every year it's a hard fight. So we came in, we prepared all week. So we came in, Jeremiah came from Farmington. So we knew it was big for him and us as a team, and it was a big conference game. And we wanted the 3rd seed for district so we can have another home game. So we came in, everybody knew what we came in to do. So, you know, when we went on the field, they were hyped. We were in warm-ups. It was our special teams. We was out there. So there was probably only like 15 of us out there. And we're out at special teams. Their whole team is out there. They're doing their little jumping jacks. They're lit. They're loud looking at us. And there's only 15 of us. So, you know, we're all looking over at them and we're like, oh, they ready to play. So then our whole team came out and we started stretching. And then we got to the jumping jacks and we got loud. We brought in the huddle. Jeremiah said a couple words and then we went out there and, you know, we just fought. That's all. Defense, offense, everybody. And then it was big. Jeremiah, it was big for him, for how he kept himself up and he didn't say a word. And he was just out there playing, throwing dimes, running. He was doing good, you know, baby Josh Allen.
There you go. Hey, sounded exciting, and we'll talk a little bit about your commits. You haven't committed to yet, but you've had a few offers being a senior this year. Name off a few of the schools that you are getting offers from.
I got an offer from Lindenwood. I got one from Lindenwood, UTM, University of Tennessee Martin.
Uh-huh.
Then I'm talking to KU Heavy, and then that's it so far.
Okay, awesome.
And I'm talking to NIU also.
Oh, great. So 4 schools right now. Congratulations on that. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate you sharing that with us. And kind of a personal question here: what or who motivates you, or is maybe somebody that you aspire to look up to?
My family. I would have to say my mom and dad. You know, they work hard to make sure I got whatever I want, and that's what I'm trying to work hard to make sure they got whatever they want whenever I make it. So I say they probably inspire me the most.
Awesome. Final question for you. Since you are the player of the week here, we'll give you a chance to give a shout out to a player, parent, coaches. Go ahead.
I'd like to shout out Coach O, obviously. And then I'd like to shout out all my teammates. You know, there's a lot of them. I can't say all their names. And then I would like to shout out all the parents who've been, you know, follow me on this whole journey. You know, just started last year, so I just want to thank everybody who believed in me and trusted me.
Awesome. Well, congratulations this week being our player of the week, Armand Branch.
Thank you.
That's Armand Branch from the Festus Tigers. Next game here, this was a close one here, 34-32, Lutheran South over DeBerg. We were really rooting for DeBerg to get to jump over that hump and get that first win of the season. Unfortunately, they fall 2 points short.
Upon further review, actually, the 34 for Lutheran South, that was the number of points they put up in the fourth quarter, as the score was actually 68-32 in favor of Lutheran South. They had
that's correct, Ray. That was actually another misreported score.
Okay.
Well, because truthfully, it was 34-32 going into the fourth quarter, but they threw up they just doubled their point total in the fourth quarter, and they threw up 6 consecutive touchdowns. You could go over all the numbers for Lutheran South, putting up 600 points or 600 total yards of offense, blah 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 blah. Ashawn Pickens, 2 rushing touchdowns. Finally, nice to see the young man. They've used him out of the tight end slot, spotty, big receiver whenever they break him out. But the last couple games that we've done, they've used him coming through as like that big power fullback, if you will, and so able to get him a couple rushes. And Jack Masters found a way to, 6th in the area and passing over 1,500 yards. So, he's still slinging it and bringing it, and there's no quit in these Cavaliers. And they got Bayless, who's 1-7 coming up. So, DeBerg once again's got another bullet in the chamber that they have if they want another team that they can try to pull out a win from.
I think Coach Masters and this team, these players, they know exactly where they're at and who they are, and they measure success just a little bit at a time. And all signs point, especially on the offensive side of the ball, this team is trending upwards, and they're going to continue to get better. And I'm really excited about, DeBerg. Whether they win next week or not, they've got some really nice pieces there to come back and compete. And I'd expect them to have another improved season next year as well.
And Jeff, to your point, I mean, I guess being a former player, that the putting up the points and everything, and trying to see those positive plays as wins. When the last couple seasons, if I'm there in my third year there, I'm still 0-27. All I can do is just tell you that you throw up a victory, and what that would do alone just to the morale of the program, to just finally get a notch in the gun. I mean, that would I think would be just a big sigh of relief for the program, to be like, okay, now we've got more to build on. We put those positive plays in to get to this, which is the W, which is what we've been shooting for the last 3 to 4 years.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Right. Crystal City, Missouri Military Academy. That was a forfeit, 13-0 Missouri Military Academy. Double check. Go ahead.
Yeah. Apparently, Military Academy has forfeited their last 3 games. That was Principia, Crystal City, and Borgia. So, they wrapped up their season already 2 games ago. Just folded up the tent. So Crystal City now more than ever can just, put all their eggs in one basket and focus on this big game against Herculaneum coming up.
They get the big bye week.
Right. Injuries taking out Missouri Military Academy. They've just got too many. It's a very interesting school to begin with, where they've got kids from around the world coming to that military academy, and they have kids that have never played football before. They have international students on that team that want to come out for football, that they have to teach in the summer how to play the game. And they've always had low numbers. So, but they've had some success in the past too. But an unfortunate situation for them. But I will tell you guys, I did some checking, and with the win on a forfeit, Crystal City does get the maximum amount of district points on that forfeit. So that doesn't hurt them at all in their district standings.
There you go. Okay, St. Pius 42, Bayless 6.
This was kind of like, I guess, what you would have expected it to have been. The score was very indicative of where that was going to go. On the night, 41 rushes, 284 yards. Austin McGokin, 13 carries, 145, 3 TDs, had a 92-yarder. So I don't want to say smoke and mirrors, because if you took that one carry out, I mean, then he has 12 carries for 53 yards. And Alex Westerman had a 1 carry, 33-yard TD. So they were able to do, as I say, dynamite in small packages, a couple carries here and there. And next thing you know, they've got over 250, now 300 yards of rushing offense. So it was taking care of business, going to 6-2 for St. Pius. So, again, just padded up, took care of who they needed to do on their schedule, and now focus on going down to, or I guess having Perryville up.
And Matt, the most interesting thing of this game to me was Brennan Irvin at quarterback. It appeared to be most, if not all, of the game for St. Pius instead of Smith. And I don't know if they're resting Smith. I'm not sure if Smith is injured or what the deal, but Brennan Irvin in there, and that makes St. Pius possibly a little more one-dimensional as the district playoffs loom.
Absolutely. Cardinal Ritter, Hillsboro, we have gotten to this game, and the outcome was seemed like it was a very exciting game. We've heard a lot of feedback from both sides over there on that particular game, and just a ground and pound, and just a very good Cardinal Ritter team going on the road to beat a very good Hillsboro team.
Well, I mean, back to what we were talking about with the military academy, with kids coming in from all over the place. I mean that's what you have at Cardinal Ritter. But I mean, when you talk about a private school, I mean these kids have to pay to go there. So whatever they're able to compile, the talent level they're able to put together, that was everything I thought they were going to be. And to me, they kind of have that Valley mentality that no matter what class we play, whether we go up one class, two classes, as you saw them, they only gave up 14 points to Helias. I didn't think they were going to get blown out by any stretch. I knew this was going to be a very competitive game, and one of those games where, to beat them, you're going to have to play a perfect game like you would have to, like a Valley Catholic. And, all it takes is a turnover or two, not able to convert on a fourth down here or there. This was back and forth and everything that I thought it was going to be. Jeff?
Yeah, and interesting. Hillsboro led in that game to start the second half. So Cardinal Ritter kind of warmed down over time with athleticism, and just to kind of go along with what you were saying about Cardinal Ritter, the school itself, and being a private school. Yes, that you do have to pay to play there, but like many of the other private schools around, there's a lot of privately funded scholarships available for the best athletes. That's all I'll say about that.
What are you trying to say?
I mean, on Hillsboro's side, I mean, you had I called the PB sandwich. You had Peyton and Preston Brown. I mean, that 49 combined carries, 254 yards. I mean, they definitely were pounding the rock, and Ritter had 324 yards of total offense against them. So, that again, this was in your face football. That it was, again, what I use that analogy of, like, the bend and break. I mean, that everybody was coming at everybody, and it came down to whoever might make the last mistake in this thing, and that's what it turned out to be. But I got to tell you, the 329 yards of offense that Hillsboro was able to put up, or at least on the rushing side. Got a trivia question for you, Jeff, and for Ray. Hillsboro's schedule, when I'm looking at total yards rushing on the year, one team has held Hillsboro to less than 300 yards. And I'll give you one guess as to who it is. Upon further review trivia, one team has held Hillsboro to less than 300 yards rushing in one game. And we know it wasn't DeSoto, because they blew them up 79-0 and racked up close to 400 yards.
North County.
They gave up 312. That's a good call, Ray.
Ooh.
But
I'm gonna go just totally out in left field here and say that it was somebody like Windsor.
It's exactly right. 274.
Wow. I was going to guess
there's your UFR trivia question for the day. Mr. Whitener coming through in the clutch.
Kudos, Jeff. There you go. Awesome.
There you go.
Let's move on here. I got two more left here. Valley Catholic 49, Vianney 8. New coach over at Vianney. I did pick that up at the beginning of the season here, and so kind of knowing that was kind of the situation, you knew Vianney's kind of going in a rebuild mode and kind of learning a new, a completely new system.
Jeff, this is because I don't understand the math on some of this. I get it where, Valley's moved up from Class 1 to Class 3, and however that's determined, they can play. But I was looking at Vianney. Yeah, they're 0-8. Yes, they're Class 6. Upon further review, diving into their schedule, I saw Duchesne on there, and I thought, well, that's odd. And because I thought they were like a Class 3, Class 2, but they're a Class 1. Now Vianney lost to them 50-15, but can can you explain, at least to me and the audience, how like a Class 1 team can play a Class 6 game? I mean, because it's got to be mutually agreed on, not just kind of like here's your schedule. But if you could maybe break down how like a Class 1 team's able to play a Class 6, how does that happen?
Well, yeah, there are no restrictions as far as MISH is concerned, as far as the different classes playing each other. I mean, you have, take the I-55 conference, for example, you've got all sorts of different classes of teams within that conference itself. But yeah, non-conference games like this, it really doesn't matter. I'm sure that Coach Starkey at Vianney looked at a chance to go down to Valley Catholic as a good test for his team, and to that end, the cupboard was bare at Vianney when he took over this season, so it is going to be quite a bit of a rebuild for the Golden Griffins over there. But yeah, that as far as there are no restrictions. Now, what it does do is it may affect your district points. Obviously, if you're playing down to a smaller class, you need to try to win by the maximum amount of points. If you can win by 35 points, that's the only way you're going to get the maximum amount of district points. Now, if you're a smaller school, a smaller class school playing up, and you have a chance to win or even play close to winning, that's going to give you a boost in district points as well. I'm not sure exactly how that formula works, but there are some advantages, but it's mainly advantages for the smaller school to play the bigger school.
Okay, so that's exactly my point, that to Duchesne being a Class 1 school, I mean, to beat a Class 6 school, I mean, this wasn't like a 3 beating a 4, or even like when Ritter beat Helias, like a 3 beating a 5. This is a 1 beating a 6. I mean, this is like NCAA tournament stuff where the 16 seed beats a number 1. That, I mean, on paper, that's not supposed to happen. And when that does, I mean, the point that you gain from beating a class 5 times your size or 5 times your class, I mean, geez, oh Pete.
Well, and that's exactly why Duchesne is the top of that Class 1 district because of the schedule that they played this year, and they are the best team in that district, bar none.
And Valley, doing their thing, 8-0, Class 3, their last games against 6-2 Kennett. So Valley, probably just going to do Valley and go to 9-0.
There you go. Wrapping up our week. Oh, yep. Wrapping up our Week 8 results here. St. Clair 56 and Windsor 12. Gentlemen.
Not much to say about that one, right?
No. And then, we had the Thursday game with North County and Potosi. Just in that, Job Smith was able to go to second in the area in points, and they finished their season against Sullivan that's 6-2. So Job Smith was able to, at least, so far on paper, put together a great season for North County, who moved to 7-1. And once again, though, an odd Thursday game.
There you go.
Well, and I did want to briefly mention, too, Eureka 49, Parkway North 21. Kevin Emanuel, another ho-hum day at the office. 6 touchdowns, 250 yards on 31 carries.
Dude's beast.
Behind that offensive line.
Dude is a beast.
He is 4 yards away from 1,800, and Rubel is 42 yards away from 1,800. Those guys, it looks like Coach Sumner is going to keep him in there as long as he can. But again, I mean, the pounding these guys are taking week after week. The accolades, I guess, will be there at the end of the year to, fight the good fight.
Well, and Matt, and we've had you look at the top 3 players in scoring in the area in Rubel, Emmanuel, and Job Smith. They're also the top 3 in rushing yards, and we've had all 3 as players of the week right here.
And we are back here with our Week 9 matchups, the final week of the regular season for our Upon Further Review listeners and viewers. Our Friday Night Blitz our game of the week, I should say, St. Vincent at Jefferson. So we'll have a whole lot to say about that particular game with implications of no matter what happens with St. Vincent, that they will win the I-55 conference. And you mentioned earlier in this particular matchup, will they sit people? That's kind of a good, interesting question. Will they sit people for first week of districts? How will they handle that? What do you think, Jeff?
It all depends. I think they'll want to get some reps in, at least maybe a first half. It all depends how the game's going. If St. Vincent is up a pretty sizable amount going into the second half, I look for them to be able to rush some players. I think they'll probably start most of their offensive players for most of the series in the first half. I think this game, obviously is not as important for St. Vincent, but it's very important for Jefferson. They need to win this game if they have any hope at all of hosting a first-round district game. So they're most likely going to play John Burroughs in the first round of districts, but this game will probably determine whether they host that game or have to go on the road at Burroughs.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was just going to ask you, Jeff. I like it. This seems to be more of a game for R7 to have more of the gumption to win this thing. Again, St. Vincent's not going to lay down by any stretch, and maintaining health and getting healthy for what I call the second season is paramount. But I was just going to ask you that I think R7 winning this game, there's more at stake for them, and you answered that.
Absolutely.
There you go. DeBerg at Bayless. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say DeBerg gets their first win against Bayless this week.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I'm in the same boat. I mean, let's go Cavaliers. Come on now.
Right. Go Coach Masters.
Yep.
I think either way, it should be an entertaining game. Both teams have some really nice athletic players. Bayless at home, though, I don't know if that gives them the advantage over DeBerg, but either way, I'll just be happy if either one of these teams wins, actually.
Well, one of
them. You got one win between them.
You hope they both one of these teams win. It would just be crazy next week to come here and say, "Well, we got a tie," So, but we'll see how that pans out. Perryville at St. Pius.
I mean, Jeff, I'll just defer to you. I mean, what other implications besides Pius just needing to win this?
This game really doesn't have any district implications. I know Pius would like to win. This is going to be a ground and pound, very physical game. And as I mentioned, Perryville has been playing better as the season progresses. St. Pius likes to run the ball if possible. And, whether it's Debra and Moss or some of the other guys back there, but I think this is going to be a Band-Aid game, guys. This is going to be an ice bucket game.
There you go. Festus at Jackson.
Again, this is just Festus. If they go down and take care of business, they're going to somehow find a way to have a winning season at 5-4. But the Indians aren't going to lay down and go quietly into that good night just for them and Coach Afadale.
Now, Jackson's always very, very tough at home. So this game really doesn't have a whole lot of district implications either way, but this is going to be another battle.
Okay. Melville Northwest.
Northwest will go to 0-9.
Yeah, I got a little bit of feeling Melville will probably take care of business on that particular one. Oakville at Parkway South.
This would be a great game for Coach Genge to finish the year on, and I would say, your thoughts on that, Jeff?
Yeah, I think this is a winnable game for Oakville. As you mentioned, in the regular season on a high note, with that team would go a long way in the continuing upward trending for the Oakville Tigers.
And it looks like they're going to end up hosting a district game as well. So we're kind of zoning in. I think they have Webster Groves on their radar right now for districts. So it kind of looks like that's kind of wrapped up there. So Moving on here, Windsor at Cuba. I don't know a whole lot about Cuba.
One of those odd ducks because Cuba, I mean, again, this is a team that when you look at their schedule, like they've played every class of the gamut from one to five. Like 6 is the only class they haven't played yet, so I was just surprised, like Seckman wasn't on their schedule. But Cuba's just kind of like that odd duck that, every week they're just playing a different class, and I think they're just like a little pesky thorn in your side, if you will. That I mean, that's my take on Cuba is just don't look past them.
I think that if Windsor runs the ball effectively, Jordan Foster, some of those guys, they should be able to take care of business against Cuba. But Cuba's always this wild card. Even though they're 0-8, yeah, they played this weird, wild, and somewhat difficult schedule, like you said, Matt. So plus you're going to Cuba, so anything could happen there.
Yes, anything can happen each week. Orchard Farm at DeSoto.
I just touched on it earlier that this just be a way for DeSoto to end the year on a high note going up to the Farm.
Those are exactly the notes I have. This is one battle of 1 and 7 teams, a great opportunity for DeSoto to pick up a win in this regular season on a positive note heading into districts. And I think, DeSoto can win this game if they have enough, healthy players back there to do the job. So, I obviously locally in our area, we're cheering for DeSoto to come out with a W on this one.
Yes. And Fox at Ladue.
Just finish the season on a healthy note, because I think they're going to I think the Warriors are going to fall to 1-8.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Ladue, even though they're a smaller school, they're a pretty decent team, and I think they should be able to beat Fox.
Poplar Bluff at Hillsboro.
It's going to be interesting to see how they rebound from the loss to Cardinal Ritter, if they can turn the page, or if there might even be just like a hangover effect, because they're coming right out of the frying pan into the fryer with this one, and Poplar Bluff is going to come at them with both barrels loaded.
Yeah, the Mules have won their last 4 games in a row, so they've definitely got some momentum going. But I don't know that I would want to play Hillsboro the week coming off a loss, because I think they're going to be loaded for Baer. So
yeah.
At home, I think the Hawks will probably take care of business.
Yeah, they were steaming mad about losing that game to Cardinal Ritter. Kelly at St. Genevieve, and Kelly, a pretty decent team, but I think St. Genevieve is going to come off out on top on that particular game.
Yeah, it's always tough, and like we were just talking about with the Poplar Bluff team, I mean, when you're driving 3.5 hours to come in, and with Kelly, I mean, it's not as far, down there in the Cape area, but when you got to drive over an hour to play somewhere, and you're not taking a chartered flight, you're taking a bus, and Kelly on the road. I mean, when you got to drive that far, I'm just going to say that Kelly will probably put up a fight, but I would bank against them coming out with a win on this one.
Matt, the Kelly Hawks are always a well-coached team. They're always a very good team. They knocked R7 out of district play last year. They always play tough against teams up this way. But St. Gen has more at stake in this game, especially at district points. They're only 0.2 of a point behind Kennett for 4th place in the Class 3 District 1. So I think St. Gen has a little more motivation to come out firing in this game and knock off Kelly. I think it'll be a good game, though.
And that was funny because we were as we were talking about Kennett, that's who Valley has here for their last game. So Valley's got to go to Kennett. So Kennett, I guess for playoff implications, is going to have their work cut out.
Yes, sir.
Right. I think. And Kennett has some great athletes, and I think they'll put up some points against Valley, but I think Valley can outscore them.
You already previewed the very last game down there. I like that.
We just took care of business there, Ray.
There you go.
Valley is just, it proved me wrong. Again, no matter if they're Class 1, Class 3, they pad up and they play whatever class is on their schedule and just, prove me wrong otherwise.
Yes. We just did Kelly St. John. Chaffee at Grandview. That's an interesting game.
Battle of schools that are 2 and 6. So somebody's going to end the season 3 and 6.
Yeah, somebody's going to be feeling good about themselves. The other one's going to say, okay, let's go back to the drawing board.
This is a very winnable game for Grandview at home, heading into the districts where they will have to go on the road against St. Pius in week 1. But, if Grandview plays the way that they should be able to, they should be able to beat Chaffee.
We're going to save what I think could end up being we've talked about this for so long, the best for last year. Herculaneum at Crystal City.
It's going to be a dogfight.
I think it's going to be a fun one.
I mean,
I tell you what, guys, I hope this is a good game. I feel like Herculaneum is too big and too physical for Crystal City, given some of the opponents that Crystal City plays in that independent schedule. I think Herky is a more seasoned team, more physical team, and I hope this is a good game. But I think that Herky should be able to handle Crystal City.
This is the implications for me on this. Can Herculaneum get enough points to jump over U City to take up that number 2 seed in their district? That's going to be the question.
That's the thing. And Crystal City hasn't given up a ton of points this year either. So
right.
It's again, I think you hear the old cliche, like what are they? I think this is going to answer the question as to what are the Crystal City Hornets in this game here against Herculaneum that, even as Jeff has said, this is the only kind of like quote unquote conference team that they have on their schedule. So this is going to be an interesting battle for Coach Fox and for Coach Boss as well. And again, put the gloves on, tape them up, and get ready.
Let the best man win.
Yep.
My prediction is that Mike Maloney is going to have a monster game on both sides of the ball.
All right. Bold prediction.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm staring at all these Herculaneum jerseys behind you guys.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, that wraps our show up for week 8, and we'll have week 9 again next Tuesday. So make sure you join us at 7 o'clock next Friday as well. Don't forget to check out our Facebook page, YouTube page, Twitter page, Twitch page, and Instagram page, all at Livestream STL. And check out our game this week again. We have St. Vincent coming up to Jefferson R7. That'll be on our Facebook page. We'll have that link on there. It's very tip-top. livestreamstl.tkdssports.com. If you want to listen to it on the radio, it's on mixler.com/livestreamstl. For all of us here at Livestream STL, and upon further review, Matt Bates, Jeff Whitener, Ray Halbrook, we're going to say so long. Have a great evening.